There's been an angry reaction to news that police in Leicestershire have been treating burglary victims differently depending on their house number. The force has tried out a money-saving scheme in which it only sent forensic officers to attempted break-ins at houses with an even number.
Well, one local MP has called the idea daft, while the county's police and crime commissioner is furious that he wasn't even told about it. Our correspondent Peter Bean has the story.
Forensic police officers, crime scene investigators who gather the evidence burglars leave behind. But if someone tries to break into your home, it may be that these specialists only come calling if your house has an even number. Today it emerged that Leicestershire Police have been trying out the idea as a way of saving money. Earlier this year they carried out a 3-month pilot scheme for dealing with attempted burglaries. If the address had an even number, they sent forensics. If it was an odd number, they didn't. On this street in Leicester, residents were shocked to learn that the police response they got depended on which side they lived.
What we pay for the protection of the police, and now we don't get any protection because of the house number we live in. That just seems ridiculous.
You're going to get even number houses worth more money, which seems a bit silly. So if it's just a trial, fine, and see the results, but not for the long run, no.
They're rather bizarre strategy, useful information for burglars perhaps, and will my insurance go up? Who knows?
The MP for Leicester South, John Ashworth, has been a burglary victim himself and has an odd-numbered house.
It's daft, utterly daft. Just because somebody lives in an odd number doesn't mean they should be excluded from the basic level of service and protection that they would expect as a taxpayer from Leicestershire Police. Are Leicestershire Police going to propose that people who live in odd numbers pay less tax, pay less police precept? I don't think so.
Leicestershire Police says it has to look at the way it works because of significant cuts to policing budgets, although nobody would speak to us on camera. In a statement, the force told us that the pilot project found that the attendance or otherwise of forensic officers had no noticeable impact on victim satisfaction, and nor did it impact on the overall ratio of scenes visited and suspects identified. The man whose job it is to hold the force to account had no knowledge of the scheme. Today he met the Chief Constable to demand an explanation.
Frankly, the police should have told me. I think it's rather naive to think that when it became known that this rather serendipitous way of choosing who got the full service and who, as it were, got otherwise, was bound to dent public confidence, and I think it probably has.
If the scheme is judged to be a success, it may be adopted by every police force in the East Midlands. Peter Bean, ITV News, Leicester.
I think everyone's had a view on this today, and this story has certainly got a big reaction from you today. Here are a few of your comments. We'll start with Jean Hitchens Morgan from Wolverhampton, who says, "I just had to check my calendar. No, it isn't April the 1st.
Mike Rouse from Coventry praised the force. He says they applied a good method here. It was an entirely fair and proportionate pilot that saw no reduction in initial response.
Stuart Jeans from West Bromwich compared the policy to playing bingo with victims.
And Henry Hunter says, this is what cutting public services to the bone does. Every crime they investigate has costs to the police, and they have to work within a budget.
Well, earlier we did speak to an expert on public services who says the police are in a difficult position when they have to make cuts.
The police have so many different areas of expenditure. It's a huge area of responsibility, different responsibilities, and making each division and department of the police service make the same sort of cuts is what leads to this sort of problem, that frontline policing, burglary responses are treated in the same way as all other areas of policing responsibility and their budgets. And frankly, the problem is that we end up with cuts being made in an area that really doesn't look very sensible from the public point of view. Indeed, for those that are truly traumatised by being recent burglary victims, it's a real tragedy.
Right, well, you're watching ITV News Central.